hoping I see a chat message pop up here eventually. The perils of attempting to try out a new program and hope it works 2 times in a row. I could not get so lucky. But eventually, hopefully, chatter things are going to show up here. Maybe. I hope. Possibly. It could work. I am not sure why the only thing that's connecting on this screen is my Twitch account. But at least it seems to be showing up now. Okay. I'm just going to keep reading your comments straight from Facebook. I don't know why this isn't connecting over onto Restream, but at least the sound is good and I can see you here. Hi guys. How's it? Happy Sunday, everyone. Happy to have you here with me, or with me from there over here. What? I have no idea why these things are not showing up onto Restream, and this is going to make me very cranky. So. It's people are saying evening about where it's all right. I'm gonna have to set up this so I can see your. Hold on. It's right now. I'm trying to talk into the webcam that's right here above my computer and read your comments off of my. Technology's fun, isn't it? It's great. It's great. Anyways, glad that you guys are here for your hour of sanity. I will get this thing up and running eventually. Somehow it worked great when I had a guest on until my sound died, and today is the day that it's given me trouble. I don't know why it's letting Twitch messaging through and not Facebook, YouTube, or goddamn Periscope. The only one that's letting through is the platform that I have 35 followers on. Yes. Anyways, hello all. Hello everyone. I'm trying to catch up with everyone that's come in here to do. Let's see. Hello, Melissa. It's hello people who are joining from all over the place that normally can't get here. Hello, Dan Keeling. I'm still going to remember your name. Glad that people have arrived. Let's see. Hello, Caroline in the UK. All right. It's people are. Let's see. I'm going to just butcher your name. I see your last name is Bond. I'm glad you get to hear and see this in real time. I'm glad that people are managing. I'm glad that we have a time zone or time slot that's working for some people. So let's see if we can catch up on a few comments or a few questions that were from earlier. It's been a fun week of new pseudoscience, and I think I'm just so exhausted when I see new bullshit now that I'm like, you have to be fucking kidding me. This week was the someone said, well, that phone is glitzy. Yeah, like I think it surprises people when I'm like, indeed, I want glitter all over my bright red phone. Like there are things that I'm fairly it's fuck you, I want the plain thing. But when I see a phone backing that is just absurdly glittery, I want it. Before this one, I had like a glitter, like it was like a watery, it was filled with water and glitter, and it like moved and then it leaked. And I'm like, no more leaky back phones. It's not a thing I can have, but indeed, I like my glittery phone. But let's see. Hello, Nick from Ohio. Glad you guys are joining. It is our Sunday of preaching. The good word of the COVID's here in the Church of the Babe of Psy. I'm never going to talk like that again. That's a lie. I probably will. Anyways, yesterday I filmed I still have to, splice it, dice it, make it a little bit funny. Filmed the annual, whatchamacallit, the annual get your fucking flu shot video, because I still had my Band-Aid picture. I still had my Band-Aid on. And this year it had a little bit of a COVID flavor to it. Hello, Allison from New Jersey. And so I'm trying to, Michael Sim just said Facebook's doing automated or auto-generated captions. I'm really glad. I feel bad that I talk so quickly, and I know I do. When I was a kid, I had a much worse stutter than I do now. So to try to make up for the stutter, I spoke really, really quickly to try to get through the stutter. Like I would stop in the middle of a word and take a breath, and it was just such an awkward stutter. And my older brother was so nice and picking on me for it, wasn't it? So that was kind of why I started speaking so quickly, was to try to work through a stutter. We have a Psy Kitty. So I'm glad that we have captions that can kind of keep up with me. So I apologize if I'm speaking too quickly. If I am and you guys are like, whoa, bring it back a bit, I'll try to. Okay, so just let me know if I'm talking a little too like. So it's like I mentioned earlier that I'm streaming via a streaming service that splits to a bunch of different sites. I can only see the Twitch messages on there. Right now, I just got one one Twitch message. I'm like, hello, Scott, who's messaging via Twitch. I'm glad that I'm coming through on Twitch at least. I'm going to be starting doing as I've mentioned, as these streams go on throughout the day, like as the streams like dwindle and like my last few faithful are here, I'm very I am into the video games, and we're going to end up eventually getting some streaming of me probably playing Breath of the Wild on there. So if you guys want to join us for that, head on over to Twitch. I believe, hold on a quick second, I can put up the caption to, there we go. There is where all the different places that I am streaming to. We have fancy shit going on here now. But those are all the various places that I am at. Also, the video that's going to be coming out with the Get Your Fucking Flu Shot thing is going to be on YouTube. So if you're not subscribed to me over there, please come and join the insanity over on the YouTubes. Someone said you're not speaking to us. Steve Patterson said you're not speaking too quickly. People who can't keep up are listening too slow. No. I speak too quickly. I've been told this all my life. Don't worry. So anyways, let's see. Let's scrolling through a couple questions. So here's the thing. Before I go into the questions that are coming through right now, let's go through a few things that happened in the week, as I like to do. This week, the biggest, like no matter what, there's going to be a couple of bullshittish things because it's another week in the apocalypse. This week, the biggest I have a cat who's trying to lick the water out of my bottle. Oliver he's a strange cat. So this week, the biggest thing was the oleandrin, right? Because we can't just have one stupid, fucked up cure that doesn't fucking cure anything. Because HCQ wasn't enough. We had to bring in because HCQ treats some things, right? It actually treats some shit. It treats malaria. It's a thing that we use to manage lupus and RA, but it just doesn't fucking treat this. Just like it doesn't fucking treat a lot of other things. There's nothing wrong with the medication. It's just not the medication for this. On the other motherfucking hand, oleandrin is so poisonous. You can't even if you are unfamiliar with the plant and you somehow end up with a stick from the oleander plant and you roast a hot dog on it, you cannot eat that hot dog because it is now toxic with so many components from that stick being in it. That's how fucking poisonous that is. It's really goddamn bad for you on many just. I don't know how. I don't know how this happens. But yeah, so my goddamn pillow guy, because he somehow has an ear to the president, is promoting this. And luckily, it doesn't seem like too many people have been like, yeah, take oleandrin. But I hate, and this is something that's a big pet peeve of mine in media, is whenever and okay, first off, I have to get this out of the way. Yes, CNN tends to be more fact-based than Fox News, and it tends to not go down too much of the jerk ourselves off rabbit hole that MSNBC does for the liberals. But when I see headlines that are like, "Watch Christiane Amanpour destroy this person," I'm like, I don't want to though. I don't want to. I don't want to watch someone destroy. I want to see the news. I don't want to see an anchor whose work I enjoy. The point of this for me is not a competition. It's not a game. I want to know what happened in the politics today and in the world news. I don't want to see your anchor, watch Anderson Cooper destroy this person. I don't want to watch someone destroy someone. I want to, but here's the thing. Anderson Cooper did have a really good, fight back against this douchebag, the MyPillow sales guy, where he just said, where are the studies? This is a poison. You don't have any studies. And this guy starts going on about, I have studies with thousands of people. No, you don't. You don't have where are these people? These people would have been shouting to the rooftop saying, yeah, this cured me. And not a single one has shown up because oleandrin would have killed them. The only place where oleandrin would have been used in medicine, quote used, is, oh, and by the way, it's a couple people are commenting, and it's funny, the comments are coming through from Twitch onto Restream. So hello, my Twitch followers. Hello, Miss Tree, and hello, XDI5. But I'm glad you guys are managing to join over on Twitch. It's making me happy that I'll finally have an audience over there when I start playing some video games. But yeah, it's been really strange watching the My Pillow douche whistle along with Ben Carson, who once upon a time was an amazing brain surgeon, promote something that Ben Carson, as much as he is a great brain surgeon, moron and everything else, somehow he has to know that oleandrin is bad for you. Like, how does this? So, I mean, luckily, like, this doesn't seem to have gotten too much circulation. Like, it seemed to have come up like a blip, and everyone just went, no, fuck you, like, so loud in a voice altogether that nobody got to, that it didn't get too much circulation. But like, Jesus Christ, it's kind of, why are we going wackier with the cures? Like, there are legitimate treatments that we're finding work that we're getting closer to having them out on the market. I mean, remdesivir and dexamethasone never mind show promise. They are actually helping with more severe cases. And I don't see why we're not just trying, why we're not just going, okay, why not research more things like this instead of saying, hey, look, I got a bottle of fucking oleander. Why? From Twitch chat, I just got the question from Denizo, 0817. How long before they just recommend straight cyanide? I have it on good authority that Stephen Miller is going to be recommending that for brown people by next week. I'm just saying, we live in a hellscape. We live in a fucking hellscape. So that's where we are. So anyways, I can't believe that people are recommending, I can't believe that people are recommending poison, because before this they were, recommending injecting oxygen and recommending injecting light. So of course they're recommending fucking oleander. So that's where we are. So let's see, more to do. 6 p.m. Eastern time, Trump will cure it again. Probably, Chris. Probably. Montreal _1 said boring dystopia. It's how they say, may you live in interesting times. I want to live in precedented times, in completely precedented times. I would really love to live in some boring ass motherfucking nothing going on, stroll in the park, give me some beige on the walls. Everything that's been done has been done before. Let's go watch a rom-com that's completely formulaic. I want to watch another episode of Law and Order SVU times. Like, that's what I want for like maybe a week. Then we can go back to hellscape, but I just want to feel what normal is again. It's like nothing has ever been okay, really. Nothing's ever fixed. But man, do you remember what a slow news? Like, we've had weeks where I've been like, oh, this seems kind of slow. And then, like, if you compare the week to what things used to be like, in the before times, you're like, oh, I've just gotten used to the hellscape. I'm hold on. Thank you, honey. My husband comes bringing the coffee, and he is a wonderful man. Oh, hold on a quick second. What, dear? We do not have that. I can order some right now. I have it in my Amazon basket.
No, I ordered poison for the yard.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I just got like 12 fleas on me as I walked.
Jesus Christ. We have nuclear apocalyptic fleas, as I have mentioned before. Let me rephrase this. The front yard has nuclear apocalypse fleas, and we are still battling those. So, no matter how much we work on treating our poor, very itchy puppy, our yard is not only is the apocalypse all around, we are dealing with the flea apocalypse. It is rough. Dan Killing just said, "Psy hubby." Yes, I dig my Psy hubby. He's a very wonderful man, and he brings me caffeine. Oh, it's what else could you want in a man other than him being that man specifically and being a man that brings you caffeine? He's looking at me like, you're very silly. Oh, he makes good coffee. Makes much better coffee than I do. Anyways, going back to Christian said, live stream flea circus. You don't want to see this. It's terrifying. Like, what's that? Like, I've been so exhausted. I just have to explain this. I feel really bad. I snapped at one of my roommates last night just because like yesterday was I was so happy the second prescription flea medication was arriving for my dog and I was like, okay, this one has to work because we've already given him 2 doses of another prescription flea med. I'd given him a couple flea baths. We'd applied a topical to him. And he still had fucking fleas because we have nuclear apocalypse fleas on the lawn. And I give him the flea med, and he seems to be itching less for a few hours. And I don't know if it's just that we took him for a walk and there were just so many fleas on the lawn, but he is itching again. And like when you have a tiny dog that sleeps on your bed, and they like teensy as speak of the adorable little munchkin. Like when he goes to itch himself and he decides partway through the night to sleep on my pillow. He's not just itching himself; he's kicking me in the face. So I have not had a normal night's sleep since he got fleas. I'm very tired. I feel like I get it that I am not suffering the way that new parents do when their child wakes them up in the middle of the night constantly and they're not getting sleep and they have much more worry that's happening because, they have a new baby. But I'm just, beginning of the month, my dog was peeing blood and now he has fleas and he's miserable. And it's just, I'm tired. So somebody just said Seresto collars. Nope. Seresto collars haven't worked. He has taken both Bravecto and Comfortis, and those are like two of the strongest ones on the market. So we've tried a lot. Like I know people are going to sit there suggesting things, but like at this point, we need to get rid of them on the lawn before we can get rid of them on the dog. And that's the hard part. We're also checking out if one of them, he's on a medication regularly. And we're trying to see if the medication is interfering with it. Oh, buddy, he's very itchy. My poor pup. It's awful watching your dog in pain and knowing you're doing everything you possibly can to work on this. Like, how many baths can I possibly give him? Like, I would put him into I would just keep him in the bath constantly if I could, but Jesus. Anyways, Dursban in the yard is how we kept him out. I will check that out. Thank you. If you know anything that really works to bomb them in the lawn or on your lawn, please shoot me an email, sciencebabe07@gmail.com. I will take I will take your suggestions for lawn treatment. But in terms of putting them on the dog, I've tried diatomaceous earth. I've tried all the non-prescription topicals and chewables. I've tried all the non-prescription pills. I've tried the prescription stuff. It's now we're trying to figure out if, like I said, if the medication he's on is interfering with it. Just my poor puppy. And it's like, you feel like you're a bad dog mom if your dog is sitting there suffering. On an up note, he got his teeth cleaned on Friday and he has great breath now. So one good thing. Oh man, my poor dog. Anyways, so let's, someone said, go all General Sherman on the lawn. I just want to burn it. I want to nuke it for more of it. Anyways, so let's go back to the Rona. So thank you. It's the mystery said over on Twitch just said he brings you caffeine. He's a keeper. There are many reasons why I married this man. One of them is that he roasts his own coffee upon occasion, and it is delicious. He opened my eyes to good coffee. So it's keeper, definite keeper. He's a decent cook. I like doing the cooking. It is a task that I took on in the house, but like I like him making the coffee better. I can make decent coffee. He always makes it better. That's how we split the chores. Let's see. Munchin Christian just said California's on fire, so that might take care of the lawn. If the fire swept through and just got the lawn, I'd be fine with it. But I don't think it'll be like, we got the lawn, we'll leave the house alone. I unfortunately do not think that's going to happen. So let's see. Steve asked, hey, question from yesterday. Should you get a flu shot more than twice a year? Not that I understand. I've never heard that as a suggestion. I think this year, now normally like there are people who say, get it later in the year, get it, November, October, when flea season, I wish there was a shot for the fleas, right? When flu season is in full swing. This year, there are almost certainly going to be shortages, and I'll tell you why. Because my mom, the dog is itching me, and it's like bouncing me, or itching himself and bouncing me. There is almost there are almost certainly going to be shortages. My mom works at a CVS pharmacy in New Hampshire, and New Hampshire right now is doing really well on cases. They have been for a while. She's like, yeah, we've only had 6,000 cases, and I think under 100 fatalities. Like they've done quite well, which is like that makes me feel better, because it's like I would like my mom to live through this. Like she's 69, nice, and she's she's done. She's in really good health, but also she's at that age where her age alone could be a pre-existing, it does put her at increased risk. So I want my mom to live until there's until one of us is immune, so I can go visit her, and that's a hard thing to, wait through, because it's, that vaccine could be another 8 months off, another year off even. But in New Hampshire, they seem to be doing really well with cases. But here's the thing. So here's one good thing that's happened. Sorry, I'm a little stuttery today, as I mentioned, have a bit of a stutter. So watching what they're doing in New Hampshire and in Massachusetts, I believe, they are requiring anyone who's going back into a classroom setting or going into a work setting to get a flu shot. And I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes the case in a lot of states and a lot of different, municipalities, that they're going to require a flu shot in order to kind of attempt to keep the possibility of a double pandemic at bay. Now, we all know a flu shot is not 100% effective. We know that it could be as low as 20-25% effective. But let's talk a little bit about flu statistics. Now, one of the things that we do, like, I'll admit it, I'm guilty of this a little bit. I try to scare you a little bit to make you get a fucking flu shot. Because if we don't tell you how bad the flu can be, you're going to look at us and go, why do I need the flu shot? And that's the thing, is we have to tell you the worst of what this can do, or else you're going to be like, well, aren't most cases, like, here's the thing. Out of all the people who are unvaccinated every year, and I looked through the stats on this, of all the people who are not vaccinated for the flu every year, only about 20% get the flu. And the vast majority of those are asymptomatic. That's not a reason not to get the flu shot, because still a lot of people will die from the flu. So let's not keep an eye on the asymptomatic cases and the people that don't get the flu. Let's keep an eye on what happens if all of us continue to not get vaccinated. So you getting vaccinated every year will not only give you some protection against the flu that year, but gives you kind of a cumulative, that was poorly pronounced, a cumulative protection against the flu if you keep getting it every year. So if you keep getting it in successive years, your chances of getting it, or getting a bad case if you do get it, is going to keep going down. So keep getting it annually, and your protection against the flu is going to be really, really good. So those are, it's Holly Olivier just said, I don't know if I just pronounced your name incorrectly. I just threw a French on it, but Holly Olivier just said, I get my flu shot every year. Good. You should. It's the more get it annually, you should be fine. This year, if you or someone in your family is high risk, get it right away. Because again, I will not be surprised if there are shortages. I'm not saying, there are absolutely going to be shortages, but I will be surprised if there aren't shortages, just because, like I said, so many places are going to be requiring them. And I've said this a million times, it's the only thing stopping you from getting both COVID-19 and the flu is your fucking flu shot. So please get a flu shot. So I've already gotten mine. I feel better that I probably won't get a flu, but I'm staying in the house so I don't get the COVID. So there we are with that. So one of the questions that came up earlier was, does the flu shot give you any protection against COVID? Nope. No, I have seen zero science to this whatsoever. There could be, somebody just asked, I thought the flu shot only gives you 4 months protection. I don't know if that's the case. I have not seen anything to suggest that, but there's one reason why that might be a thing that's been suggested, is because flu season is generally the winter. So you get it, and there's most cases of the flu occur in fall, late fall, early winter. But you want that protection to kick in before cases of the flu are really starting. So it takes a couple weeks for this to kick in. So basically, my flu protection is going to start kicking in beginning of September, and that should last me through the winter, according to everything that I know. And that's when, like I said, that's most of flu season. So should be good from everything that I know. And I mean, the strains are going to mutate as they go, but mostly they're not going to mutate in any large way until they've had that season where it's not circulating through humans, where they've had that season kind of off from using us for delightful little hosts. So let's see. Denizo0817 over on Twitch just said my insurance will only cover one shot per calendar year, so we're stuck waiting until October which is when we got them last year. Yeah, that I mean, it kind of makes sense. So one shot per year should do you. If you have concerns because you got them kind of at a midway point in the year, at least in the U.S., like I have Kaiser and it covers mine 100%. If for whatever reason I'm like, I'm a little unsure about if I still have immunity, either I could go get my titers checked, which perfectly reasonable thing to do, or I could, if Kaiser's like, nah, we can't give you another, I could always go to CVS, which Kaiser will not cover my prescription there. If you're not from the US, you're like, what? I don't understand how this works. I could go to CVS and my Kaiser won't work there, but GoodRx, there's even without insurance, it costs $40. GoodRx will give you a coupon to bring it down to $22. So I understand money is really tight right now. This is so important. Getting yourself immune to the flu shot is a priority. So if I get it, like we are all at a point where money can be really, really tight. I don't want to say scrape for the $22 that you're barely keeping in there for groceries right now, and you really need it to pay that last utility bill. But like, if you at all can, get it together for the flu shot. I really hope you can. So, oh man, it's a rough one right now. So scrolling through, trying to get some of your questions from earlier. We've been oh, by the way, it's if you have not seen, I've posted about it. We have a Discord server now, so if you want to, I'm popping in and out of there on a pretty couple times a day basis. The Discord server is the link is posted to the top. It's pinned to the top of the page on Facebook.com/SciBabe. So come join us. There's even a voice chat channel that someone very someone in a very silly manner requested that I sing, and that might happen eventually. So come join us, and there's more insanity over there. Anyways, so let's see. Let's scroll through a few questions. Let's see what we can get. Let's see. So, there is a virologist in my area that's doing Grau's Facebook page. I'm not sure what I'm not sure what Grau's is, so I'm probably going to fuck this up. Facebook page with really good info. But the other day they had a naturopath on the show, and now I'm confused. How can a PhD qualified person think a naturopath is as reputable as them? Well, that's a really good question, because here's the thing: people, and I've seen very smart people go to naturopaths for a couple of reasons. Number one, naturopaths are very good at presenting themselves as having legitimate expertise. Like long before SciBabe began, long before my origin story, when I was just an egg of a SciBabe, I spoke at a sci-fi conference in Boston called Eresia that some of you out there might have heard of. But there was a guy who just all he ever called himself was a doctor. And I did not know that he was a naturopath until like years later, like because I was friends with him on Facebook and I started doing the SciBabe thing, and I was like, this motherfucker's a naturopath? What? And Arisha just like they are very like they were supposed to be really, really good at having experts. And I mean, I get it. It was kind of a nerd con, and they had a lot of different points of view, but like I should have realized when audience members literally started screaming at me when I mentioned that GMOs were good, that maybe I was dealing with a hippie crowd. But like people who like, and I know I'm still friends with the organizers from this event. And I know they wanted science-based people, and somehow they ended up having a naturopath who was a speaker there annually. And I think it's just that these people present themselves as being a supplement or a complement to modern medicine in a way that's so insidious that even smart people, educated people, can be dragged into the fray by them. And that's kind of what happened to me when I was first sick. Like I was desperate, and I was very like, I don't want to say easily, but like when you get to a certain point with your illness and it's not getting treated, even smart, rational people can go, there might be some validity to this. So whether this is a friend of the person's, whether they just were trying to explore the space, whether this naturopath had just happened to have a point that they agreed with, like one point, there are a lot of reasons why smart, rational, and well-meaning people can end up saying, hey, check out this naturopath. So I don't think that I don't think less of the PhD that had this person on. I think that anyone can kind of get entangled in this. So just don't discount the source that had the naturopath on. Just remember, vet everything, no matter what. Like, I could end up accidentally giving you guys a bad source one day. So vet all the bits of information that people who you trust have on, because they could get duped too. It happens to all of us. Like, if I get duped one day, fucking nail my ass to the wall. I hope that from you. I hope you respect me enough to do that to me. So let's see. Quick question from, Montreal_1. I have a question. Can I think of exposure to COVID the same way as toxic exposure to a substance? Like, assuming our body can handle a small bit of exposure during visits to the store and essential services. Not quite. So here's the thing. Any think that your body can. It's so sorry, I'm stuttering my way through the start to this. So there is some truth to the fact that you are likely to have a worse case if you get a higher blast of viral load. So say you're in a hospital and a patient, like you're a nurse in a hospital, and a patient, like your mask is off for whatever reason, and a patient who's sick as shit coughs directly into your mouth. You're likely to get pretty, if you're likely to get sicker than someone who gets it from having just a few particles coughed into their face. But it's not that your body can can handle small amounts of it. So that's like, if you're as you said, exposure during visits to the store and essential services. If you're in the store and essential services and you don't get it, it's because you weren't exposed, or because you didn't get an exposure that got into your lungs and nose. So I mean, it's possible that you had such a small exposure that your immune system just kicked that out, or didn't manage to connect to your ACE2 receptors. But like I said, there is a bit of a dose dependency, but not in a way that your body can just kind of handle certain levels of response, from what I understand. So, you don't think about the grocery store as, don't worry, my body can handle the grocery store. Like, your body still needs a fucking mask at the grocery store. Don't get it twisted. But I mean, it's a good question. I hope people understand that, the amount that you get exposed to can make this markedly worse. So, please don't screw with this. So, but it's, really good question. Thank you for that one. Scrolling through, trying to catch up with some of your questions. Let's see. I'm trying to catch up with the questions I see. Why do some people swear by them? I'm not sure if you're talking about naturopaths. Star said, you were so kind, Cy Babe. I'm like, you do not see me when I'm swearing about the people who are anti-maskers having parties. The USC kids. Let's see. Come on, scroll up. Why are you not letting me scroll up? Where do I find a doctor like the one on Star Trek? 400 years in the future, my friend. Before then, we're not getting there. No, you are welcome for the response, Montreal one. I am here for you guys. Let's see. I see Trish asking, why do some people swear by them? I tell them a physical therapist could have done better. I'm guessing, I can't scroll up that far. I'm guessing you're talking about chiropractors. It's either chiropractors or naturopaths that you're asking about. Here's the thing, like and I gotta say, like, look, I'm gonna confess to something that I shouldn't, and that you guys are gonna judge me for. So here's the thing. So chiropractic, I get why people think chiropractic helps, because you go and get your back cracked and it fucking feels, pardon me, and it fucking feels great, right? Like, there's no time in your life when you're having back pain, or almost no time in your life when you're experiencing back pain, when getting that back crack doesn't feel wonderful. And I've been dealing with really, really severe back pain for the last few weeks now. My doctor is a DO. Now, like I think a lot of people mix up DOs, doctor of osteopathic medicine, with chiropractors. They are not the same. A DO in the US has substantially equivalent training to an MD. They can do all the same thing, get all the same specialties, all that good stuff. The difference is that a DO also gets training in the type of manipulations that chiropractors do. Now, the other difference between chiropractors. Oh, D. Scott, I see your comment on the Des Moines Register article, and I actually posted it to the page, I believe, yesterday. I just wanted to comment on that. But it's the difference between a DO when they do adjustments and a chiropractor is that a DO just knows they're just cracking your back, whereas a chiropractor tells you, I'm giving you immunity to polio by cracking your back. I'm giving you layers of health by cracking your back. Every bit of your health is determined by spinal subluxations, and all the chiropractors have the key. And they're full of shit. But yeah, like I've been dealing with really severe back pain for a few weeks. It kind of waxes and wanes, and it's part of my whole having Ehlers-Danlos thing, which is a delight. But I went into my doctor. Like it was bad enough that I was like, I will risk walking into a doctor's office and getting the COVIDs. And I was really impressed with my doctor's office with how they were. Stephen Reese, I'll get to your question in a moment. I was really impressed with how they were managing the doctor's office, like temperatures at the door. If anyone was presenting with anything that seemed like symptoms, they were sent off to a tent out to the side where a doctor would only handle them in a full hazmat suit, gloves, goggles, everything. And they were really, really on top of it. And my doctor's office was, of course, great, goggles, masks, everything. And it's like, I went in there and he's like, my doctor's given me one adjustment before and it didn't do any good because at the time, as we found out later, I had a broken rib. But this time it was really clear that I didn't have a broken bone. He's like, do you want to try an adjustment? I'm like, I will go for fucking anything at this point. Because again, this is a doctor, not a chiropractor, because chiropractors aren't doctors. But afterwards, my back felt fucking great. I haven't been able to, get to a massage therapist. I haven't been able to go to physical therapy. I haven't been able to do all the things that I would normally do because I'm like, that just feels like too much. Like I needed to go to a doctor just to see, have him check out my back. And that was the thing I needed to do anyway. I'm like, I'm there. Why not try the fucking back crack? And both of us know, and that's the thing about getting this from a DO as opposed to a chiropractor. Both of us know this back crack is not going to heal my, give me better spleen function. No, both of us know that this is not a way to fix my back. We know it's a way to relieve some pain temporarily. And I think that's a way to use that in kind of an ethical fashion. And it's a way to go, all right, yeah, if that relieves pain, you obviously have some sort of a problem there that needs, physical therapy and other things to treat. But it's not a thing to fix this problem. And that's why I really appreciate having a DO for a doctor. Like they do really look into your health and they look into a lot of ways to manage it. So I have a really attentive doctor. I love him quite a bit. If you're in the Southern California area and you have Kaiser, I can definitely recommend a great doctor for you. Anyways, I love my doctor very much. So let's see. Someone, Melissa Knock just said, never been to a chiropractor, but I don't think being able to crack my neck due to falling off a horse helps. Oh my God. Yeah. Chiropractor is not for you. But like I said, I would never go to a chiropractor because their whole philosophy on why they do the cracking is just so fucking broken. And not a thing we should do. Scrolling up, there was a question I wanted to get to because it had the funnies in it. Someone asked, let's see. So, let's see. There are two questions I wanted to get to in here. So it was so the question about the Des Moines Register was from D. Scott, and I believe it was so a student tested and this was kind of an amazing / horrible story. A student tested positive on the first day of classes for COVID at which was it, the University of Iowa, I believe, and they were not ready for this. They had no rooms set up. They had no protocol set up. They sent her to a dirty, filthy room that didn't, that had an ant infestation. She had to alone carry all of her belongings across campus. And she got so sick that she ended up having to, like she ended up having to call the paramedics. Like it's, oh, here's the thing, like the girl, and I'm like, when I posted, I don't think I posted the exact same article. I posted a different article about the same story. I think like, and I'll admit it, like the girl getting a bus ticket to leave campus was fucking irresponsible because you have an infectious disease and you get on a bus. Girl, no, what are you doing? Like, the university did not act responsibly, but neither did the student. But I mean, like, that's the thing. And I mean, I think that drives home the point even more that we should not be putting college students into buildings where they can transmit a deadly disease to each other because they don't have, and no offense to any college age people who are watching this. Some of you are going to make very wise decisions, I am sure. Then some of your friends are going to make really idiotic decisions, like being deathly ill, like being so ill that they were hospitalized with a deadly disease, and getting on a bus where they can very easily transmit it to other people because they think this is a good option. Like that just displays some very poor decision-making processes going on upstairs. And I think that's a problem that we're going to see as colleges keep opening. Not that people are necessarily going to keep getting on buses when they know they're infectious, but poor decision-making processes, because at that age, a lot of people do not have their risk management part of their brain totally, gelled together. So it looks like Psy Mom has entered the chat. Also Jen Lee Hicks, I love you too, and your hair looks great. So it's every so often someone shows up who I know from my former life back in New Hampshire, and I have to, I miss you people. I love you, and I'll see you when the world is open again. Oh man, there are things that I just fucking miss about, like, the world being open, and part of that is just, I can, if there's a cheap flight back to New Hampshire, I can go visit people, and that's just not a thing right now. So, man, let's see. Nicole Youngman just said, college students often don't have the resources to go someplace comfy off campus and may not be thinking clearly because they're really sick. Yeah, like that's part of this. Is like they're putting, like, by opening schools, and I fully understand why the thought process goes, we have to open the schools. But I also think that they're not looking at the whole picture of college students are not going to think these things through when they're sick and desperate and afraid and don't have resources. And like, it's just, the whole thing is such a clusterfuck. And I feel like I feel awful for the student that was in the situation and felt so sick and alone in their first week at college. And I just feel badly for everyone involved in this. Like, I feel like there was no one there who could help her, who knew what they were doing, because all of a sudden there's someone there who's sick, and the university didn't give them anything to work with. So there was nothing good that came out of that. Like, so speaking of universities, I have to just fucking hold on a quick second. I just have to just applaud the fucking headline writers at UNC. Did you see that headline? Clusterfuck at UNC. Oh my God. I've gotten away with some headlines with swears in it, but I've never gotten to write one with clusterfuck in it. I believe from what I understand, the administration didn't want to admit that there was any kind of issue happening there. And the kids running the student newspaper, God bless. Like, I'm not religious, obviously, but if there is a God, may they bless student journalists who are out to fuck over an administration that deserves fucking over when they're not being kind to students whose health are on the line, because those students probably easily saved some lives by getting that story out and having campus be shut down. Because if they were willing to just keep sending students and teachers back to class like that, there were going to be students and teachers who were high risk. There were going to be students and teachers who were going to end up in the hospital just statistically. And the longer that was allowed to go, the more likely you were going to have, a few months later, announcements that some students and teachers had passed away, and some students and teachers were, various other faculty members and people who work on campus were, long haulers that were never going to be able to function again. So it's like, it's amazing that it took that it took the students saying, "Hey, we're getting sick. We're going to call you out on this on front page of the paper," in order for anyone to pay attention. And I'm really Oh my God. Leslie Wicker just said UNC announced their 10th confirmed cluster today. Sorry. So, quick notice: if anyone is watching this on YouTube and commenting there, I'm really, really sorry. I'm trying to keep up with 2 comment streams right now. I'm also missing comments from Periscope. I am so sorry. But thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to try to have this whole why are my comments coming in from all my different streams situation figured out by the end of this week. I do not know what's happening. I might just have an experimental stream at some point to try to fix this up. Also, thank you guys for sending stars. I really appreciate it. A couple different ways you can support the channel. Obviously, one is through stars sent directly via Facebook Live, and it's occasionally that leads to screen licking because we're all a bunch of weirdos. And of course we have we on Patreon we have a monthly patron only live stream that gets a little weirder. Of course, it's a little smaller because there's it's just us. Oh, nobody here but us chickens. And once once we hit $1,000 a month on my Patreon account, I will do 2 patron monthly live streams. And obviously, and we're going to do, I'm going to try to bring in a guest if we get a second one. So let's doing something to try to entice more of you to come over onto Patreon. So we're doing what we can to try to get this amusing. That and like, look, I'm stuck in my attic and I need to make this amusing too. So I'm here for you. You're here for me. This is symbiosis. So anyways, let's go back to answering some questions. Let's see. Nicole Youngman, you have a really good question. My colleague and I are debating masks versus face shields for safer teaching. Very surreal and frustrating. I would recommend both, actually. And I know I'm a total killjoy in saying you should probably get both, but here's why. A face shield will help protect your eyes, your eyes from getting hit with it. A mask will help protect other people from getting hit with your germs. So one of them helps protect you, the other protects other people. You really should, if you're going to be in a classroom, both is probably best. An N95 is probably better, but we're a little short on everything, but yeah, a face mask and a shield are probably really good. Good luck. I'm terrified for all of you. Do what you can to make sure that students are hand washing and wearing their masks. I don't know what state you're in and what the laws are, but if you can, first day of school, really push the point that students should be wearing their masks and how they should be wearing them, and get them to wear them consistently, no matter what the state laws are where you are, because you all need to be safe and we have a horrible clusterfuck of a government. Anyways, somebody earlier asked if I should do some sort of stand-up comedy and science thing. Like right now I'm attempting to turn that into my YouTube's thing. I'm trying to build on, like, I have a ton of like very funny science or funny YouTubers that I watch that are kind of on LeftTube, and I'm like, I'm going to take the things that I love from this and throw it at SciComm, because I feel like a lot of SciComm on YouTube is a little on the dry side. Like, there's nothing that's just laugh out loud silly, and there's a lot of LeftTube. Like, if you guys watch ContraPoints, I fucking love her. I stan my queen, and I dig her style, and I'm like, okay, I can incorporate some of just the wacky, like, let's go into random stream of thought stuff and add that into what I'm doing. So have a few scripts that are written, have one thing that I filmed yesterday that I'm gonna do some editing on, and I have a thing on asymptomatic cases that I'm halfway through writing, that I just have to finish editing and film. So that's what I'm doing to try to throw some comedy into my science calming. So that's where we're at with that. So anywho, let's see. The universities, Nicole just said the university is giving you shields at least. Man, that's depressing. They're giving us shield. Oh man. So fun story that has completely nothing to do with this. So a friend of mine from high school, and this is just, it's always depressing when someone shares like an anti-vax argument, and you're like, girl, what are you doing? Are you trying to give me a heart attack? But they shared this, and I'm like, I don't have the patience or the time to fight with this one idiot. So instead, I'm going to rip apart the argument to all of you guys. I'm not always nice. Anyways, so this person shares this person that I went to high school with. This person that I went to high school with, really nice person. I still dig her. They were a neighbor of mine for like I grew up down the street from them, and they share this. And here's the thing: I understand this kind of thing. It doesn't seem too conspiratorial, but it lightly weaves in a couple of kind of anti-vaxxy things, and we got to talk about it. So the thing is posted, and this isn't my friend, but the person who wrote the public post, their name is Rachel Marsh, and it says, as a 30-plus year nurse, I have fully supported all of the precautions with COVID-19, but this post really made me think. Oh, I'm sold already. I'd say, I share it here for your consideration as well. Thank you to whoever wrote this. Oh, look, a forward on the internet. This is going to be science. What's the end game with the Rona? Anyone? Well, I would hope the end game is treating it random. I'm going to call the person, the hypothetical person who wrote this, Chet, and we're going to speak with Chet now. What is the magic formula that is going to allow us to sound the all clear? A vaccine. Chet. Is it 0 cases? A vaccine. For a while, the goal was simply to flatten the curve, but now we're disconnecting utilities for gatherings in California, setting up checkpoints in New York, and recommending goggles. What's next? It seems as if there is, in fact, no endgame. I don't think this person seems to understand that flattening the curve involves not having giant parties, not having people travel to places that have flattened the curve and unflattened the curve, and wearing goggles to try to prevent people like healthcare workers and people who are in high contact jobs from getting the coronavirus. Like the question sounds like he's saying, I thought you were trying to flatten the curve. How dare you do things to flatten the curve? Good job. Just stunning logic. It seems as if there's, in fact, no end game. The end game is to stop people from getting coronavirus, Chet. And truthfully, the only way we will see the numbers drop is if we cease testing and stop reporting. Donald Trump, is that you speaking? Are you the man behind the mask? Keep in mind that hundreds of thousands have shown to be tested, registered, left due to long waits, and still come up positive when they receive the results. Citation needed, motherfucker. Is it a vaccine? Yes. It took 25 years for a chickenpox vaccine to be developed. The smallpox inoculation was developed in 1776, and the last known case was in 1977. Oh, stunning logic. You got me there. Well, the mumps vaccine took 4 years. We already have 2 vaccines in phase 3 trials. One's probably going to be approved by, 2 of them are probably going to be approved by late fall / late winter. And we already have one that's being used in the Chinese army. And we have 2 that will probably be out on the market by late spring, early summer. So yeah, that's just a dumb fucking argument from someone that doesn't understand how research is being sped up right now. We have a flu vaccine that's only 40 to 60% effective. You know, if I had anything that was 40 to 60% effective against COVID, I'd fucking take it now. I'd be like, give it to me. Let me swallow a gallon of it immediately. Less than 1/2 of the U.S. population chooses to get one. Oh, that's surely a stunning argument to get something. Half of the population is too dumb to get it. And roughly 20,000 Americans still die annually due to the flu or flu complications. Yes, and most of the people who die from those flu complications didn't get a flu shot. Oh my God. What? Oh, you'll mandate it in order to attend schools and travels to foreign countries, etc. Yeah, basically. Like, it's not the US that is going to mandate getting it to travel to foreign countries. Foreign countries are going to mandate it to travel to them. Your American passport is fucking useless right now. You can travel to like Albania. Seriously, that's one of like 6 countries you can travel to right now. It's ridiculous to see. We already have a growing number of vaccine researchers refusing proven, tested, well-known vaccines that have been administered for decades. Show me those vaccine research. Show me an actual person who works currently researching vaccine, not just a person who says, I worked in a vaccine lab and they were like a lab tech. And I don't want to see Julie, whatever her fucking name was, or Judy, whatever her name was, who was on the Plandemic documentary. She does not count. She's a fraud, allegedly. So, see, do you really believe a majority of the people will flock to get a fast-track vaccine whose long-term side effects and overall efficacy rates are anyone's best guess? How long are we going to cancel, postpone, reconsider? Yeah, actually, according to studies, literally a majority of people said they'll get it. Over 50% is a majority. not much over 50%, but I believe that by the time that 60-ish% of people get it and people see that they haven't turned into like rabid chickens or something, the rest of the people will be like, I would like that sweet, sweet immunity. Sign me the fuck up. Move football to let's see. Now we were advised against in-person school until second quarter. What if October's numbers are the same as August? Then what? Move football to the spring? What if next March is worse than this March? Oh no, football will be moved, Sally. What then? The kids won't play football. Life is over. Holy shit, how will you survive without football? It's almost like that's worse than 200,000 dead Americans, you fucking cunt. Let's see. We know driving a car can be dangerous, but we don't leave it parked in the garage for months on end. We know dangers of smoking, drinking, and eating fried food. Let's see. Is hugging grandma really more dangerous than rush hour on the freeway? Is going to a bar with friends more risky than 4-day-old gas station sushi or operating chainsaw? Here's the thing. There's this. She's trying to equate the safety of all these things that come with some risk versus the coronavirus. And the question is, can you ever actually measure which one is more unsafe? And right now, yeah, the coronavirus is more unsafe. The question goes on. I want a waiver that says I understand the risk, but I choose life with hugs, smiles, college athletics, estate fair, concerts, and school dances. I understand there's a minuscule possibility I could die, but more probable I will end up feeling like junk for a few days. I understand that I could possibly pass this virus on to someone else, but I can pass any virus onto someone else at any time until the end of time. The difference is that this one has killed 200,000 people while we're social distancing, wearing masks, and hiding out in our homes in 6 months. That doesn't happen with the common cold. It doesn't happen with the flu. It doesn't happen with any of the other viruses that are endemic right now in our population. This has not been happening like this with any other virus, Chet. So no. That's not what's been happening. We don't see refrigerated trucks with piles of corpses for other viruses. So if we just let this go through the population unchecked, more and more healthcare workers will die while their hospitals are filled up with patients. Because their hospitals are going to be overrun, people won't have access to medical care workers. They won't have access to equipment. They won't have access to reagents they need for tests and for everything, and more people, because of the backups, will die. It's the last bit of this. Are we busy living or busy dying? It's hard to tell these days. Well, if you want to get back to life, you're going to get busy dying really fucking quickly. But yeah, that was just a bit of like, I'm just asking questions mixed with a lot of anti-vax bullshit. And look, Natasha, I'm really disappointed in you for sharing that bullshit. Sorry. So I had to get that one off my chest. People are sharing absurd bullshit because because it's comforting to look at something like that and go and go, hey, maybe they're just overblowing this. Maybe this whole thing was wrong. Maybe there's not really a real problem, and we can just go back to life now because if it's going to be 4 years of this, what's the point? I'm going to get it anyway, and I'm not going to be sick. Like, I don't know. How are you going to explain to your kids that through your fucking carelessness and shitty attitude, you killed grandma? Like I said, I want to go see my mother too. I talked to my old roommate on FaceTime for 2 hours last night because I missed her like crazy, and I would like to see her and I would like to hang out with her. And she lives all of like 20 minutes away. And, occasionally we'll hang out on my porch from 10 feet away with our masks on. But man, like, I want to hang out on her couch for a couple of hours talking about nothing and, being the same jackass as we always were. And I can't, and I understand that because I live in a house of 10, and like if one of us breaks the rules even once, that's a cluster of 10 people all at once. Like, I can't do that to my roommates, and I would like to, not be a dick. So, falling for these people that are doing this whole I could get a virus at any time and kill people. No, this is the one that is floating around right now all over the place and killing people en masse. So I'm tired of this whole "it probably won't kill me." Well, I keep seeing, like, have you've seen the million? Like, it's there have to. I've probably seen a good 50 of these by now that, someone says the coronavirus is a hoax. It's not that bad. I'll be fine if I get it. I have Jesus on my side. And then a few years later, guys, I'm positive for the corona, but I'll be fine. And then they went to the hospital, and then they're on a ventilator, and then their spouse gets onto their social media and is announcing that they passed away. And like, at first it was kind of like, at first those things were kind of like, hey, I hope this teaches people not to fuck with this. But the fact that we're still seeing this, now, and it's been, 5 months since lockdown started, I don't even know how to feel about this. Like, I'm sad for their families. I'm pissed that they wouldn't listen. Like, I'm devastated that this keeps on happening. Like, this shouldn't, like, how the fuck are we letting this still happen? How the fuck are people not going, that happened to that guy? Of course, like, it's never going to happen to me, though. Why would you think that? Indeed, I am double fisting coffee. Let's see, what about all the people who are getting sick, not dying, and then having debilitating long-term effects? XDI5 asks over on Twitch. That's like, here's the thing. This is interesting. This came out this week. There was a really great article on as they're calling themselves, or as they're referred to, the quote long haulers. And this was really sad. At the beginning of the COVIDs, there was there was a long kind of there was a long issue with doctors not, I don't want to say not believing, but because they weren't sure what this was, they kind of were going, are you sure you're still sick? You're testing negative. Like, maybe these are just psychosomatic. You're just still coughing a little bit. But it took a few months and seeing enough patients getting ill with this and getting, staying ill long term, that they realized, oh, the long haulers are an issue. And it seems like they're a more serious, a larger issue than we initially thought. Like, it seems between long haulers and people who are having symptoms after they're over, it seems, I read this stat somewhere and I want to look into it more, and I don't know how robust this data is. So please don't quote me. Please don't say Saibe that said this, so it's viable. But I read somewhere that something like a third of people who don't require hospitalization still have symptoms for months afterwards, or still having some amount of symptoms, whether it's exhaustion, whether it's coughing, whether, but I mean, that means, you have your 40% of asymptomatic cases, right? And remember, most cases of the flu are asymptomatic too. A lot of cases of the cold are asymptomatic too. Most cases of polio are asymptomatic too. Just a lot of things come with asymptomatic cases. So 40% of cases asymptomatic, 30% of cases, when you get out are give or take, they're mild, and they're mild in a way that you get over and you don't feel like you have any follow-up symptoms. And then there's 30% of cases, and then there's some percentage of cases that you have continuing symptoms for a while. And that's kind of horrifying. XDI5 over on Twitch asked, is there a count on the number of long haulers? It's hard. Like, here's the thing that I can't parse out from the data yet, because when I read that it was 30% that continues to have symptoms, I'm not sure if that means, I'm not sure where that 30% is broken down between has some symptoms and are daily dealing with a fever and a cough and barely being able to get out of bed. Because there are some long haulers that sound like they basically still have COVID every day. They still have 101-degree fever, still are coughing, still have, lung infiltrates. And it's like, it's hard to tell where, where the cases are. There have been a few articles I've seen that I should hunt that down and post it. I'm falling off my little chaise over here. There was an article I saw that was talking about six types of cases of COVID. You could probably find it just by Googling 6 types of COVID. And they're, the cases that go from, gastric to, and losing sense of smell and, fever, all the way on to the types that land you in the hospital and come with ARDS. And it's interesting to look at it that way. And it's one thing that's curious to me was that you didn't really have a designation for long haulers. And I'm curious, well, like, I feel like there are more like 8 kinds. Like, there are the kinds that, like, people have next to no symptoms except losing their sense of smell for a couple of weeks, or, up to a few months. But let's see, I'm looking at the comments here. Did somebody just say 1% for one. Is it? I see. Are you commenting 1% for fatalities or 1% for long haulers? I'm trying to catch up with the comment thread. Okay, so it was people are asking about fatalities. So here's the thing: most parts of the world, give or take, it is. We don't, no matter what, we do not know. Like right now, we don't know the IFR for sure, right? So there's case fatality rate ratio, and there's and then there's infection fatality ratio. So case fatality ratio is the cases that we've actually diagnosed versus it's the number of fatalities divided by the total number of cases that we've diagnosed versus the infection fatality ratio, which is all the infections, including the ones that we haven't found, the ones that we suspect, all that good stuff. So like the infection fatality ratio is always going to be lower than the case fatality ratio. So we're kind of figuring out now that there are much, obviously it's going to be lower. So for a while, like we were like, oh man, it's 5%, it's 10% in some places. Like what's much more likely? Like, as we look at New York and it looks like they had like a 10% case fatality ratio. What's much more likely is that because they had like about 25,000 fatalities and 200, it's in New York City proper. I'm talking about New York City proper, not New York State. In New York City proper, it looked like they had about 25,000 deaths and 250,000 fatalities, give or take. So that looks like a 10% case fatality ratio. But from seropositivity testing, between testing wastewater and testing and doing and doing antibody testing, it looks like about a third of the city got sick, which means that closer to 2.5 million people have had it. So it looks like about a 1% fatality rate. And that's the place where we have the most data. And that kind of lines up with a lot of other things that we've seen. So I think that no matter where and it's going to vary, obviously, based on the age of the population, based on the health of the population, to a certain point. But it looks like on average, we're going to end up with about a 1% case infection fatality ratio. So whenever I see a place that, has, that looks like it has a really, high case fatality ratio, I look at the number of fatalities and just multiply by 100. And I'm like, I know I'm going to be off by a bit in some direction, by about 15% up or down, like, because I don't know if it hit a bunch of nursing homes first. I don't know what happened here, but like almost all the time I try to extrapolate from the number of deaths, not from the number of cases, because there's going to be, you're much more likely to have a miscount on the total cases than you are on the total fatalities. Like fatalities seem to be counted low in general, and fatalities in cases seem to be counted much lower. So that's my that is how I look at it, and that's kind of how I try to track what we're up to. So it's one more thing. So I posted a thing for my friend Joel earlier in the week. Somebody was like, "You're posting things from gamers now. Who are you, Cybabe?" I'm like, he's a gamer physicist, or he's a game developer, physicist, and mathematician. So, some people have multiple talents. But he was going through the math of what was going to happen next, and one thing that he left out of it in his analysis, because he was like, "Yeah, this wave is worse." Or this part of the wave, because we're not really in wave 2, we're in wave 1.1, because the first wave never stopped. But the first wave hit really New York, and there really wasn't a lot. Like there were some, micro clusters in other parts of the country, but the first wave hit New York. And if you look at the charts, it's like New York, next wave, and probably the next one's going to go up again. But really, the wave in New York should have been like up and then down and then up again, because New York City, again, that was about 2.5 million cases. We are not as high as New York is, like based on the number of fatalities in that wave, I know that it looks like California has the most diagnosed cases, but we don't have the highest number of cases in the country. That honor still, New York still, like, until we catch up on fatalities, or are at least closer on the number of fatalities, we do not have even close to the number of cases. And we have 10 million, or we have, what is it? I want to say 10 or 20 million more people here. So it's double the humans here. Dan Keeling just reminded me, we're coming up to screen lick time. I'll get there. Don't worry. I would not leave you guys hanging. I was very happy that we got a fancy pants doctor to lick the screen on Friday. That that was highly amusing. I was quite happy with that. I mean, beyond being, funny, very personable and very good at answering questions on here, he's a really good doctor. Like it's nice when you have, it's nice when you have a doctor that, like, when you go to his office, you're like, I'm not just going to have someone who's going to listen and be, attentive to my medical needs, but you're like, I'm going to have a good conversation with someone who I jive with. So he's great for headaches. If you are still hunting for, if you're in California and you're still hunting for a doctor and you have major headache issues, you can do no better than Dr. Rich. And also, as like, I just want to clarify, I'm not a paid spokesperson for this. It's just, it worked really, really well for me. That if you're dealing with TMJ, his little device, the Gentle Jaw, really fucking works. It's just a thing to stretch out your jaw, and it's when I said plastic, he was mad. He's like, it's medical grade nylon, but yeah, it works really, really well. And it helps passively stretch out your jaw. Between that and a mouth guard, I don't need Botox injections in my jaw anymore. I just need it on my forehead because I'm vain. Let's see. Doug Ricard said, I think you like doing screen licks more than we like demanding them. There is one guy who on Friday nights tends to throw in like an extra $20 and be like, no, screen lick. I'm like, well, okay, the people are demanding it. So I think it is I think it's a combination of look, it started off as a thing, or started off as a joke one time, and then it became a thing. I don't know how it happened. Let's see, Annette Donovan. I'm not ashamed to say I developed a bit of a crush on Dr. Rich on Friday. I will pass that on to him. I am screen capping that. He will get a kick out of that. Thank you, Annette. Let's see. Ironically, someone set off a mortar over my house as I sat outside watching that, and it triggered my PTSD. So now I've had a headache. So, oh my God, I am so sorry, Star. Jeez. But I mean, hey, if all you could call Rich, and he'll tell you how to treat that headache if all else fails. But I hope some of you guys who deal with chronic headaches, if you were watching that, got some amount of hope, at least, that there are headache doctors out there who have a better understanding of the types of headaches and how to treat them than most neurologists, most primary care physicians, and there's someone out there teaching doctors how to be better at treating them. So someone just asked, can we see more of Psydog? Oh, fine. He's like, why did you wake me up? I was sleeping. Hello, you have such good breath now. We gave him a teeth cleaning and he's no longer gross. Hey, boy. Hey, I love you. You're not cranky anymore? Oh, that was right in the mouth. That was too much. That was a little bit much on the side dog. Hey, buddy, are you less mad at me now? A little? Were you a cranky dog on Friday? Did you try to nip the vet techs? It was very bad. He was such a jerk. He's a very good pup, but man, I've brought him to that vet 3 times in a month, and I think I mentioned this on Friday. There is to bring the dog to the vet, you have to drop them off because they are dealing with the COVID too. They don't want anyone in the building. Completely understandable. But Buddy is hyper attached to me. So when I brought him there this time, like the second time I brought him there, like he kind of pulled on the leash. He's like, no. So I, picked him up, gave him to the vet tech, and he was fine. This time when I pick him up and give him to the vet tech, he starts growling. I'm like, oh God, no. So it took 2 of us to hold him down, to put a muzzle on him, to get him into the vet's office. And I felt so bad. I'm like, I need to go back and give Starbucks gift cards or something to those poor sweet vet techs who took care of him. Because at the end of the day, like, he must have been such a piece of work. Because I've been there 3 times now, and I've never seen them ask someone to come in to pick up their dog. They're like, could you come in and pick up your dog from his crate? Because he's been such a piece of work today. I'm like, oh my God. But like, he's been in such a bad mood from the fleas. Like, he was in the crankiest mood I've ever seen this little pup in the day before. And I'm like, oh my God, we're going to the vet with him in a bad mood from the fleas. Like, just, so he's had a week, but hey, his breath smells great now. My poor doggy. Nevada Jack Pete just said, Yvette, that animal's butt licking wormhole mouth just licked your mouth. Yep. And I love him. A mother's love is undeniable. He is a good puppy, but he is probably only good to like me and my husband. He he is sometimes difficult, is what I will say. So to be Sarah McGinn just said, "He's glad he's not 55 pounds like our dog hating girl." Oh man, like this dog would be unmanageable if he was bigger and had the same temperament. Like I've had 100-pound dog who was a nasty piece of work, and I've had a 50-ish pound dog who was just the sweetest thing ever. And like this dog is okay. Like he's very sweet, very loving to me, very sweet, very loving to my husband. But then he has moments where he's like, "I'm gonna turn into a 15-pound Velociraptor," and there's nothing you can do about it. And just that's what he does. He can be a bit of a pain. So quick heads up. So last time I did the stream, my sound randomly cut out, and there was nothing I could do about it. It took a few minutes to freaking fix that. I don't know what happened. If my sound cuts out, please just tell me. If I can't get it fixed, we're just gonna call it a day on the stream. But I just wanted to give you that heads up because I'm still trying to figure out Restream.io. So anywho, let's go through a few more questions from earlier. But before that, you're welcome, or I'm sorry, you animals. I realized my tongue looks like I was just drinking coffee. It's also fun to, my mom just commented, "He's good to grand-mère." Mom, you are ma-mère, not grand-mère. I'm just saying, it's our family says ma-mère, not grand-mère. That is tradition. It's Steve Patterson. Got to give the people what they want. Look, I figure you're not getting licked by strangers right now. I'm doing what I can to contribute to the ambiance of the situation. So you are welcome, Mike D'Souza. Look, I know what you're here for. And it's weird screen looking. I do what I can for your amusement / horrifyingness / entertainment. Also, fun story. So in recording the video for Please Get Your Flu Shot, I decided to go through at some point. I'm here to ask you guys a favor. I know that it's been a hard year with all with the murder hornets and the COVID and I'm listing off a bunch of horrible things that happened the year. At the very end of it, I'm like, oh, and wet ass P word. I hope that one lands. I really hope that joke lands in it. So, but it's like, if you guys could send me a list of all the awful things that have happened this year, because I really want to expand on that for the video, I would appreciate it, because it's been a long millennia this year, and I've lost track. So shoot me a message, and I will add in your list of all the things. I kind of want to do just a rolling a scroll of it at some point in there. Oh man, it's been a year. But anytime I can throw in a jab at Ben Shapiro, I will keep on throwing out jokes at Ben Shapiro until he gives his wife an orgasm. So looks like I'm going to be giving jabs at Ben Shapiro forever. Oh yeah, double hurricanes are definitely a thing that I threw in there. Let's see what else. Shoo. Jenna Smith, you are so much more interesting than my snoring husband right now. I do what I can. I hope I'm not more interesting to him than him to you when he's awake, though. It's a lot of things are more interesting to me than my husband while he's snoring, but when he's awake, he's pretty damn cool. So, but I'm glad I could be of service to you. Hold on. Danielle Bullen said the joke works. Cool. I'm very happy. Let's see. Murder hornets are definitely on the list. Let's see. Someone just questioned about saliva-based tests. So, saliva-based tests seem to be, whatchamacallit. When I got tested, they seem to work. Now, what they do is basically they have you cough a bunch of times very heavily to try to get to get some COVID into your mouth. And they have you really swab everywhere thoroughly to try to get as much as you can out of there. Now, the thing that I'm curious about, because there's there are a couple of companies that have made, and somebody asked about this sensitivity versus selectivity in testing, and I hope I don't get this wrong, but sensitivity means that you're getting a lower level. If you want a test that's more sensitive, you want a test that gets a lower level or a smaller amount of the virus. So it's the thing about a PCR test is that it will test positive like a day, generally a day earlier than some of these like very cheap tests. And selectivity is something that you see as a problem with the antibody test, where they might accidentally test positive for the antibodies to some of the endemic coronaviruses. So there's a difference in how these tests can go wrong. So the thing with the cheap tests is that if we can roll them out to a point where where we're able to test everyone a couple times a week, even test everyone daily, because there are companies that have these cheap tests that they've made that maybe cost $10. If we can test everyone 2-3 times a week, we could really get this under control. Between that and some social distancing and mask wearing, it's like if you were, and these are tests that can be run in a day and back to people. They can be run very cheaply, very quickly, but they are less, they only test positive about a day after the PCR test. But if they can be run so much more quickly, if you can get those test results back in a day, as opposed to 14 days where they're basically useless with the PCR test, then they become so much more useful than the PCR test in a practical sense. So, you give up that one day of it being functional to get, 12 days back in the testing cycle so that they're actually useful. So, there are trade-offs. But they're like in the situation that we're in right now where we need millions of tests done. We do take that trade off. We obviously keep doing PCR testing, but we take, as part of our testing, we add in the paper test. We add in the less robust tests because we need them done, where it's going to help us eventually get back to a functional society. It's going to help us get there faster too. And there are people that need to be at work and need to be, that are essential workers that we should be testing regularly for their safety and for ours. And that those less sensitive tests that we could give to them every day if necessary. We're testing Major League Baseball players and NBA players daily. Why can't we test teachers daily? They're only in charge of our, children. Why can't that be a thing we do? I'm just saying. Oh yeah, the other thing we can do to make this all better is vote. So as I plead to you every week, make sure that please as soon as you guys are as we're done with this, if you haven't done it yet, check if you're registered to vote and nag a good friend who you think is up for voting for Biden, Kamala, to go out and register to vote and make sure that they're registered. And if they're the type of person that wants in-person voting, drive them to the polls. If they're the type of person who's down for voting by mail, make sure they're registered. Make sure they know when they have to drop that thing off by to get it. And so please, if you want this hellscape to be less bad, and I know I'm not guaranteeing that it's going to be perfect, but you know what? We are in a bus station that is infested with zombies, and I just need to get out of this bus station. I don't care if the bus doesn't have Wi-Fi on it. I just need to get to the next bus station. And the Biden-Harris bus will get me to that bus station. It will get me out of this flaming, zombie-infested, rabies-drenched bus station. So let's take that bus. Let us take that bus together. Like, that bus needs minor repairs. Okay, it needs some repairs. Might need a lot of repair. We'll take that bus together, though. We got to get away from the zombies. So let's do that. Anyways, let's see. And Dan Keeling points out, apply to vote by mail in your state if you can. One of the wonderful things about California, you can, when you register online to vote. Now, I registered via the DMV, because when you're setting up a lot of your stuff or setting up a couple things online in California, they automatically ask you, do you want to vote by mail? I'm like, hell yes. And you can register to permanently vote by mail. So you change your address, you register for whatever online, and they set you up right away. So, I mean, that's like the one really good thing. It's great because you're automatically registered, but like California, we know which direction the votes are going to go in California, but I want you in swing states, you with friends in swing states, to give them a quick nag. If you're in North Carolina, or if you're in Florida, or if you're in Wisconsin, or if you're in any of the states that look like they have a chance of going the other way, drag a few friends to the polls with you. Sit down online and be like, hey, registered to vote yet? Go do that. Post a message, post a status. Don't be afraid to get a little political. I get uncomfortable getting straight political on this channel because I know for a while people were like, why are you getting so political? I'm like, now I am, because politics is sticking its dick in science. Like, I didn't want to fuck with politics, but politics put its dick into my into my arena, and I'm fucking it back. I'm like, you fuck me, you fuck with me, I will fuck with you. So that's what's happening now. So I really I think that we have to push back on bad politics when it's doing bad things to science. And that's the hard part about this, is that I don't think any science, like, we have our political opinions, obviously. We're not, you don't put us on the rack with the rest of the test tubes at the end of the day. We all have our political opinions. I get very political on Twitter. If you don't follow me on there, then whew, you'll find out a lot of my opinions over there. But I want, this is, it started, and I think I talked about this before, but like, it started off with, denial of evolution. It started with pushing creationism. Then it goes on to denial of global warming. And, from there, it snowballs into whatever, it's snowball, thinking of James Inhofe bringing a snowball onto the floor to be like, see, the earth isn't warming. Oh, look, ice. It's proof that there's no climate change, obviously. But like, it goes from denial of a couple things onto denial of reality, and denial, and saying that any kind of science that doesn't agree with them is wrong, and them saying that it's politically charged. And the truth is that they started the political charging of it. They started it by denying that science was true and trying to say that anything is just a narrative. It's like, no, like in science, we don't go out to try to prove something. We go out to try to find out what's real or what's not real. And, you'll find individual scientists with biases left and right, obviously. But overall, science, the long arc of science runs towards the truth. And, nobody wants climate change to be real. I would love to find out that we were wrong this whole time, but the data just doesn't support it. I would love to find out. It'd be so comforting, right? And I mean, I think the creationism story is a comforting story, right? That we all came from a God that loves us and we're here for a purpose. But man, like, if you think we were designed, look at the human kneecap and ask yourself why any loving God would have done that to us. Like, it's just, we keep looking at these things and going and trying to find comforting stories in them. And it's just a way to convince ourselves to accept lies. And that's, and not be comfortable with what's ostensibly an uncomfortable truth, and a truth that's hard to fix. And climate change is fucking hard to fix. COVID is fucking hard to fix. And it's so much easier to instead of doing the hard work, lie to your constituents, I guess, and tell them you don't need a mask. Your hard work is not going to be a part of what fixes this. Scientists have been wrong before, so why would you believe them now? I'm like, if scientists have been wrong before, why would you trust a congressman who hasn't taken a science class since he was 15? Why? And I mean, I get it. There are some people in Congress who have upper level science degrees. Rand Paul is a doctor, but Rand Paul is such a shitty fucking doctor that because he couldn't pass his medical boards, he started his own bullshit medical board to give him his certification that he's still an eye doctor. So I'm just saying, maybe the people in there that are claiming to be scientists on the Republican side are really bad scientists. Allegedly. I'm just saying. It's Leslie Har just said, dude, 65 inches of SciBabe casting onto my TV. I will have you know I am 69 inches tall. Nice. Anyways, let's see. Why is the deal with FDA not regulating lab tests? So here's the thing. The FDA is regulating, or it is approving lab tests. So there are a handful of tests that are FDA regulated, but they can't stop. Like, they can tell you that a test has been approved by them, but they can't stop a company from being like, here's a test. And that's kind of what happened with Theranos. Theranos went around the FDA to get their un-FDA approved bullshit test onto the market, so people can kind of get tests to the market. But right now, the FDA has been trying to lift some of the typical things that they use to, or some of the typical like locks and dams that they use to get things to approval. Like they're doing less robust work on studies to approve things to get to market. So I hope that people are. I hope that people aren't looking at things going through the FDA as though they're not tested at all. I think there's just a slightly less, I would say a little bit less robust testing than normal, because a lot of things normally take years and years and years and outside testing. And, right now we're not at a place where we have the time for that. So I really hope I really hope that we can look at some of the tests that are coming out and go, all right, these are going to have some error in them. We know there's going to be a degree of error, but a degree of error is better than no test at all. So take them with a grain of salt, get retested, and hope that and hope that that more tests, that better testing is going to come down the line later, because we're all learning we were all dumped into into the science all together all at once on this. So the things we get out of science on this are going to be good and then better, or they're going to be kind of okay. They're going to be bad. They're going to be a bit better. They're going to be eventually good, and then eventually we'll have both a vaccine and hopefully a treatment that works better. Then it helps 30% of people not die. Like, we're getting better at this slowly, and that's how it's just going to keep going. So I see. Leslie, you said she said my name. I try to do that when I'm answering your questions. It's part of this. It's just a part of this. Let's see. My emergency email thing just sent an email that says major breakthrough to do. Major coronavirus breakthrough announcement tonight. Like I'm curious what to do. I'm curious what the quote major breakthrough is going to be. Like, a couple people brought this up, and I'm legitimately worried about this. I am worried that there's going to be an announcement right before the election where Trump comes out and says that he has a vaccine, and there actually isn't a vaccine ready, because legitimately the Moderna vaccine is not scheduled to have its testing done before anytime before the election. Like, it shouldn't be. It absolutely should not. It should not be ready by then. So anything that says that it's done, that the testing is done, that it's approved, just absolute bullshit. The Oxford vaccine is due to be done with now it'll be done with the human testing, not with analyzing it and not with getting it approved until November. So it's, like I said, collection of data done by November, all of the process that has to go through to get to market, not done for a few more months. And that's in England. And I don't know how many billions of cases we have coming to the US of that, if it's approved. And it seems that a lot of people are about 80% sure it's going to be proven to be safe and effective, but we have to still go with, if, because we just don't know. And the big question is less efficacy, because we're pretty sure it causes immunity. But we have to make sure it's safe when we move up. And that's the big thing with phase 3 trials, is we're testing it in 30,000 people. What happens in a bigger, population sample? How safe is it? How are there other side effects when you give it to people who are less healthy, or who have other conditions or whatnot? So it's going to be interesting to see how this works out. It's Jennifer Selleck, I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly, just commented, I'm in the Moderna study and there is no way results will be in before the election. Thank you for clarifying. It's like, look, I would love it if results came out tomorrow, but I also really, really hope that I just hope that there's no fuckery, because the American people have had enough fuckery with this already. We don't need false hope of a vaccine being ready before there is one. Linda Sorrell-Smith, I hope I'm not pronouncing your last name incorrectly. The EU approval is not US approval though, right? Correct. I wrote an article a few years ago. Like, my website kind of got wiped when I was transferring it over from one server to another. And one day I will sit down and put up all the articles that are good. Look, I look back at my writing from 5 years ago and I'm not proud of everything. But I wrote an article on this thing called the Bionic Gym. And it's this bullshit. Like, do you remember those little like electrical shock things that people put on their abs and thought, this will give me abs? And they were wrong, of course, because, electrical shocks on your abs are not going to give you fucking abs. So this douchebag from Ireland decided to make shorts with the exact same technology and was like, it can make you run a marathon on your couch. And I did a deep dive into that. And he tried claiming that he researched it with the European Space Agency. And I actually contacted the European Space Agency, and they're like, this guy, we never even met this guy. Like, they applied to be able to use it in zero G, but like they didn't actually do any research on it. They're like, yeah, it shocks you in zero G too. That's all the research they did. But like, it has been, they opened their Facebook page less than a year after I opened mine, and they started their GoFundMe like a few months after that in 2016, and they have still not shipped out. Like, they still have not gotten FDA approval in the US. I'm not sure if they have approval in Europe, but they haven't. Like, they have thousands of orders, and they still haven't shipped out more than like 100 units. And most of the thing, like, I keep seeing complaints on their wall from people saying, "Hey, you sent me like the cloth that the electrodes are supposed to be in, and nothing else." So. But it's Dan Keeling, electrical shock shorts. Holy Jesus. No, that's not a lightning rod. Yeah, it's, if you want to hunt them down on Facebook, I think it's just facebook.com/bionicgym, just BIONICGYM. And like, after I wrote an article on them, they went nuts trying to say that they had a ton of studies saying it worked, and the studies didn't say it worked. Like, that is one article I should repost like ASAP, because I was, a couple weeks ago, I was like, I wonder, if they ever ended up shipping out to the US, because they were like, one of their responses was, oh, when we send them out, we'll have the data. I'm like, so first you said that you had data, it worked, and then you said when you send them out to people, then you'll get the data, and you've tried claiming you have 13 years worth of data. It just, it's very interesting. Like, part of they tried saying that it was brand new technology, but these people also work with another tech firm that actually makes the ab belts, and the technology that's used in this. Now, I can't prove this. So allegedly, the technology used in the Bionic Gym, it's the exact same tech that's used in the ab belts, because I went and found all the patents on it, and they're the same patents that are used by this other tech company that makes the fucking ab belt. So they're like, it's not an ab belt, just uses the exact same technology. These people are such scam artists. So yeah, that was sorry. They're allegedly scam artists. But man, that was it's funny watching that nobody has gotten their, or almost nobody's gotten their units yet. There are tons of complaints about it, and there are like thousands of customers that were hoping for, and I get why people would buy something like that. It's hard to lose weight, it's hard to get into shape, and you look at somebody who looks like their legs are shaking and they're getting this workout and they're panting and sweating, and you think, man, that could actually work. But it doesn't. It's bullshit. Like, and this was like, I emailed the inventor of it back and forth a little bit to try to see what what he would say, because here was the big tip off to me that it was bullshit. And I know we're getting really far away from COVID, but we need a break. I asked him what, because he claimed on his website that he trained for a marathon just with the fucking shorts. And here's the thing, I've run 2 marathons. One of them was just plain old, 26.2. The other was a part of a 2-day event in which I ran a half marathon one day and a marathon the next. I don't always make good decisions for my body. That was a bad idea. It's one of those things, like, I was very proud of myself at the time. I think I was an idiot in retrospect, because I found that afterwards I had Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and my joints I needed hip surgery. It was a bad idea. Anyways, but I've run quite a bit in my life. So when this jackass said that he trained for a marathon just with the shorts and with no other exercise, I'm like, bullshit. So I emailed him and asked, and he's like, because I also looked through there's a running website. Like, this is my process when I get obsessed with a subject. I'm like, I will hunt down everything that could possibly prove this did or did not happen. So I hunted through. There are a couple of different websites that track racist, and you can hunt down someone's name. You can just search someone's name to see if they, if they've run any races. Could not find a fucking thing for this guy. So I emailed him and I'm like, hey, I was looking to see what your race results were. What marathon did you run? He's like, oh, I just tracked a 26.2 mile course and ran it in 3 hours and 47 seconds. I'm like, so you have no proof that you did this. You didn't run an actual marathon. You allegedly ran 26.2 miles where no one could see you. And the first time you ran a marathon, you did it in 3 hours and 47 seconds. only training with these electric boogaloo shorts. The other thing is that you can't run just by training a set of muscles that far. Like you use a lot of other muscles other than just your fucking quads and hamstrings and glutes. You really, really need your calves. You need a lot of other muscles in like you're pumping your arms for those hours. Like there's a lot of other fun kinesiology things that are happening when you're running. Your muscles are lifting up your legs. You're not just squeezing and releasing them. They're doing actual physical lifting. And it's the other one of the big things that can happen to you when you're running is if you have not trained because your bones actually get a little bit thicker from all the pounding. If you don't sufficiently train your bones with all that running, you can get stress fractures. So I'm just looking at this thing. Daniel Bulent, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your last name. He ran 26.2 miles with his girlfriend who lives in Canada. Yeah, basically. But like, I was amazed that he would have the audacity to claim that. And I'm like, about 100,000 some odd people in the US every year run a marathon. How did no one call him out on that yet? Like there had to have been someone else who looked at that and went, bullshit, dude. But it was amazing to me that he thought he could get away with that, thing that at least, I have to be careful with the language I use. It's amazing that he thought he could get away with something that seemed to be such an absurdly, patently clear lie. It's just, that's not how a marathon works. You need to get some pounding in on your legs or else you will get stress fractures. So but yeah, there were just so many lies, so many, like when I contacted the European Space Agency, the study that they submitted for, it was the only thing that they could show proof of was that they had, they had a picture of him floating in zero G. And when I asked them, I emailed asking, could you show me the studies? All they did was send me a picture of him floating in zero G. Did not send me data from the studies. The European Space Agency showed me that no, they did not ever send data from their study. So it was never published. They basically just wanted to go up and get pictures of them in zero G. That was their whole goal. And the last thing, and this was hilarious. What is that page? If it looks, let's see. I'll post them. I just have to repost that article. But the last thing that was just nuts to me was they kept posting that they had appeared on Ellen. What happened was, and Ellen, like somebody had submitted a video from their website to Ellen, and on the Ellen show they were making fun of their fucking crazy looking video. So like God, people are saying to me, people are saying you need to get some pounding. Yes, you need to get some pounding in on your legs if you're running a marathon, and some pounding in on something else if you want to have a fun life. But it was crazy watching this all go down, and nobody calling it out, and people giving, like, I think they got over $3 million in GoFundMe fundraising, and they haven't sent out that many units. Like, and they all the time were telling people we're in production now, FDA approval's coming next month, and they've been saying this for 5 years. So that was what dealing with a modern day snake oil salesman was like. And it's like they're watching them still telling people, oh yeah, it's coming next month. It's coming next month. Like, and they've been doing this for 5 years. It's kind of horrifying to watch people falling prey to this, and they have no way to get their money back. I've contacted GoFundMe to say that this is that this doesn't seem on the level. GoFundMe, didn't do anything. Like, I would love it if other people were to contact GoFundMe about the Bionic Gym and let them know that people still haven't gotten their products 5 years later, and that this is probably bullshit. But that's just my tiny request for you guys, because I want these people to lose their I feel these people have their money under suspicious circumstances, and they deserve to lose it. Anyways, let's see. Stephen Reese, does the electrical underwear come with free perpetual motion machine? Right? They also have a bridge to sell you in Brooklyn. Anyways, let's go through a few more questions about the COVIDs, and then we're gonna get out of here because it's getting close to that time. And then remember, come join me. Let's see. someone's asking, while we're distracted, I noticed you don't have a category set for the Twitch stream. That makes it really hard for randoms to find you on here. I will be setting my category on Twitch probably to gaming, because even though I'm using it for this, I do plan on using the Twitch to do some gaming. I need to figure out how the fuck to connect this to my PS4, and that's just going to take a lot of looking through tutorials online. But either, I want to connect it either to the PS4 or to there's just, it's going to be a lot of me fucking with wires, by which I mean me asking my husband to possibly fuck with wires for me. But yeah, Twitch is going to be under gaming more than likely, because I was describing my quote gaming style, like, because someone asked over in Discord, what are you like when are you screaming at the screen? I'm like, no. Like when I'm playing Witcher and Skyrim, like, two games in which you're stealing things constantly. I'm like, because if you're not looting, are you even playing Witcher? And then of course people try to kill you because you just stole things from them in the game. And like, I sit there like, why are you trying to kill me? You didn't need that. I was just taking those things from you because you weren't using that sword. That's my sword now. You're so mean. I'm gonna have to kill you now. I didn't want to kill you. I just wanted your basket of bread. So that's me. That's me playing video games. It's just acting, subtly indignant at people killing me for things that they probably should be trying to kill me for. But that's that. Star Starling, Skyrim made me puke, by the way. So I'm kind of just, did it make you dizzy or something? It's Skyrim. It was funny. Getting used to that one was difficult because I was so used to, how you moved in Witcher, and moving so that you had to have the target on something took some adjustment. But I'm working through that one right now. I'm going through a lot of the Dark Brotherhood quests. Like I got through the main ones, and now I'm letting Mother tell me what to do. So that one's fun and delightful. But anyways, we are coming up on the end of my times here. So let's try to get in a few last minute COVID questions if we possibly can. It's like until I see one pop up, I'm going to talk about school that's coming up. So I hope that as many of you guys as possible are keeping your kids home. I understand that is not an option for everyone. I'm sorry that a load of you are in an impossible situation right now. This is just, it's kind of a nightmare. I don't know how else to phrase that, and I'm so sorry that you guys are going through it. Laura Drazada, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Laura and Drazada, sorry. Really curious if you've seen the Unwell documentary series on alternative and wellness practice. I have not watched it yet, but I've had a few people recommended it. I've had a few people recommend it to me, so I'm going to check it out at some point this week. Star said, yes, the FPS graphics cause nausea. Jesus, that is unfortunate because it's a really fun game, but luckily a lot of other fun games out there. Ginger, Ginger is helping me with game motion sickness. Good to hear. Let's see, scrolling through a few more questions. School. I mean, I started on this earlier and then got distracted by, Squirrel. So my friend Joel posted a thing that I reposted with a couple of caveats about how this next wave is going to work, how the school wave. So we're pretty sure New York had a much bigger bump than this wave we're in now. And part of the reason that even though when we opened things up, it was not as bad as the first wave is that people were staying home, people were social distancing, we were aware of the virus. Like the reason why it was so bad the first wave through was because nobody knew it was here. It hit in a major city that was hugely that was dense as shit. We didn't have testing, we didn't have supplies. And nobody knew how it spread. Nobody knew shit. And we were also, including me, which I've apologized for fucking enough. We all know, a lot of us were of the belief that masks were bad. And I mean, part of that was admittedly that it was a little bit of study of behavioral economics, that people generally do not wear their masks correctly. And I don't know about you guys, I'm still seeing plenty of people with their masks down here. There was this wonderful And I mean, I saw people who were very smart, really good science communicators, posting about the fact that masks are often not worn correctly. Like even Astro Katie, Katie Mack, who I love so much, posted about the fact that getting people to wear masks correctly is so hard. Like it's very difficult, and people often get a false sense of security wearing them incorrectly and then spreading disease. So I mean, that's part of the reason why I think people pushed back against them. Other than the obvious reason that we had such a shortage that people I think in the CDC were afraid that people were going to go out and as they did, hoard them and take them away from medical professionals who really needed them, when what we should have done was tell people, sew some fucking cloth masks. But we had a failure on that. But now people are masking up. A lot of people aren't working in offices anymore. Like a lot of offices have just gone remote for the foreseeable future. People are doing all the precautions that they need all over the place. It's Susan Clark said, now how many times a week are you going out for errands and groceries, etc. It's less than I used to before the pandemic, more than I was at the beginning of it, because now I've kind of figured out what's safe to do, or what's reasonably safe to do. But I would probably say maybe like what I was going out once a week, maybe before. Now I'm probably going out twice a week, maybe 3 times. Like if I need something, I'll leave the house. Like, but of course, mask the fuck up. Wash hands beforehand. Leave. Depending on the type of place I'm going to, wear gloves. But like I'm less nervous about doing a quick run to the store now than I was at first, because it seems like. It seems like a quick trip to the store is not the kind of thing that will give you the coronavirus. So that at least feels a little bit better. But anyways, so anyways, my friend Joel posted this thing. He's talking about the last wave. So the thing that's going to make this wave possibly as bad as the first one, we're in a bad wave now, but if you look at the fatalities, it's not as bad as the first one. It's probably about half as bad, give or take, just judging by the daily fatalities. Next wave's going to be bad because we're putting a ton of people into buildings together. In some places they do, like ventilation is you can keep the kids 6 feet apart, but that doesn't matter if you don't have sufficient ventilation. The thing that makes the 6 feet apart thing really work is having ventilation. Like if you're 6 feet apart outside, you're fine. If you're 6 feet apart indoors with have you seen the stories about people catching it in restaurants from the disease circulating within the restaurant, and they were definitely 6 feet away from each other. The only way you can really do this is with plenty of circulation to the outdoors. And I don't know if you guys have been in a school, but not all of them are well ventilated, and some of them are not going to let the air, some of them are probably going to be like, yeah, I can't use the open windows. Like I know one school said, and God, this is just the most American thing I've heard, one of them won't let the teachers keep windows and doors open to let proper ventilation through, because it breaks protocols for potential school shootings. Just as I do most episodes. I just America. I can't. I fucking can't. Like how do you goddamn deal with that? Let's see. Morgan just asked, any advice for recent graduates? I just graduated from college and I have no idea what to do with myself. I mean, other than scream into the mirror. Sometimes I scream in my car. It's an option other than your mirror. I wish I had some advice to give you. It's like what the long-standing joke is, whatever you do, don't start a podcast with 3 of your friends. That's all. I wish I had better advice. Like it's the only people I know who are getting jobs right now, or are people with a long resume. It is difficult right now. But someone just asked what the blue light is. The blue light is the on button for my microphone. But man, it's someone just commented, drink heavily. That's not bad advice. It's see if you know what. It's awful when I'm sitting here going, I wish I had advice, but now's not a bad time to try. Now, if you've ever had a hankering to try to start an online business or try to do some writing on the interwebs, now is not a bad time, because going out and trying to expose yourself to people in a job, in an office, is a bad idea. Like, I mean, part of the reason why I started to lean into the live streaming now is because it seems like the only way I can get access, I can touch, I can reach out to humans and continue doing SciComm and continue, like, because I enjoy going to conventions and meeting people and talking about the stuff in person. And this seems like a way I can still do my job and not go completely insane. So see if there's something you can do that keeps, that uses your degree and informs people online, or gives you a way to write about your specialty or something. And I mean, I get it, that's not for everyone, but it's something that'll kind of keep your keep your interest and your abilities up in your field until it opens up again. And that's kind of the best thing you can do. Like the saddest conversation I ever had with my agent was like right as soon as everything closed down. Like within a week of that, I got a call from her saying, so everything's closed, there are no work opportunities, please keep yourself relevant until there's a vaccine. So I know that's very different for someone who just graduated from college, but the best thing you can do is keep your skills fresh. I'm not sure what your specialty is in, but if you keep up with what's happening in your field, do some writing. That way, when the field is open up again, when life is there again, you can say, hey, here's a portfolio I have. I've clearly been keeping up with this thing. I've been trying to do what I can to show that here's what I've got in this market. So that's the best I can give you. I wish I had more. So, all right, we are at hour 2, and I think I am tapped out of good advice. No, I'm not tapped out of good advice, but it's been a while. Let's see. I will grab one more question, and then we gotta call it a day. It's mainly because it is a zillion degrees in this attic, and I want to go into the air conditioned part of it. So let's grab one more question. It's Alicia Ramirez says your eye makeup is fire, BTW. Thank you. I appreciate that. If it's the Tati palette. I don't know if she's canceled this week or not, but I don't care. I stan her fucking palette. It's amazing. It's join my Patreon because occasionally I do my makeup on camera in there, and it's a lot of fun. And people do realize indeed that I am a walking optical illusion. Like these under eyes let you know exactly how little sleep I have had through the entire Trump administration. It's very little to do. Here's a good one. We can talk about it. We get a flu shot each year because it changes. Is that what happened in 1918 and 1919? So I believe, and I could be wrong about this, I want to double check, but in 1919, I believe that was the first year that we had the swine flu. And someone please fact check me on this, but if it wasn't the first year that we had the introduction of the swine flu, it was it was indeed a variant. Or a severely mutated, it was a new variant of it that we had not seen before. So that, as Alicia, I was surprised that I got your name right. I'm not fluent, but I speak Spanish fairly well. So I can see a thing I can see a name with the letters and pronounce it without sounding like a complete moron. So I do what I can to try to get your names. Anyways, but yeah, so 1918, 1919, we had, so beginning of 1918, we had this flu, the H1N1, that or is believed to have been H1N1 at this point from later studies, and it hits people pretty hard in the spring, right? Then it kind of, as the flu does, unlike coronavirus, it kind of wanes for the summer, it kind of goes away, and then the fall comes and it mutates, and the mutation in the fall, it hits people about my age. It hits people, as opposed to the flu, which normally affects the really young and the really old, it suddenly hits people in their 20s and 30s. And the reason it does that is because people my age tend to have like really strong, robust immune systems. And so when it hits them, like within 2 days, they go into, like, how we're talking about ARDS and cytokine storm that happens with COVID. It's like within 2 days that hits people with this strain of the flu. So people go from feeling fine to, like, people were dead all very quickly with this one, which was horrifying. And there are obviously different complications to this. Now, it seems like the first mutation that we've had with COVID is that it's mutated to be more infectious, but not necessarily more deadly. And it's like we're still trying to figure out, I believe it's the D14G. I could be I could be screwing that one up. I could be mixing up the letters. I apologize. But I believe it's the D14G mutation that has slowly become the more common strain that we're seeing, and it seems to be more infectious than the other strains. But again, it doesn't seem to be like, I think when people hear more infectious, there was an article out that said it was 10 times more infectious than the other strain. And I think when people hear 10 times more infectious, their thought is, oh my God, it used to infect one person, you used to spread it from one person to two, and it must mean that every person infects 10 people. And that's just not the case. I'm not sure what metric they use to say 10 times more infectious, but it does tend to spread more readily than the other strain that we had. We have nothing so far to indicate that it's more deadly, at least from what I've seen. And I'm trying to keep an eye on that. So we're not going to know for the big reason why I don't think we're going to have a 1918/1919 mutation is because it has not had time away from humans. It hasn't had, a lot of times mutations come from a virus trying to survive, trying to, make it, there are, it'll make mutational selections to attempt to, do better, so to survive better. And it's surviving pretty fucking well right now. So it doesn't have a lot of biological imperative to mutate, really. So it doesn't viruses love hosts that it can live a long time, and they love hosts that it can transfer from one to the next in. And right now, the fact that we're infectious for a long time, a lot of us are asymptomatic while we're spreading it. We're a great host. So I mean, the fact that not many people relatively speaking, that only 1% of people die from this means that we're a pretty good host for this thing. We keep spreading it. So odds are, I could be completely wrong about this. We just don't know. Odds are, if it does keep mutating, it'll keep mutating to be more contagious, less deadly. We don't know. We do not fucking know. But that is what happened in 1919. Was it became much more deadly, but it also had time to not be in people. There was a summer in which a lot of people did not get infected, and then all of a sudden it came back and was like, hey, fuck everyone. So that's what happened with the 1918-1919 flu. I don't know exactly what's going to happen with this one, and none of us do. But we can, and here's where we get to our very special message at the end of the show. We can all do we can sit there and panic about everything with this, and panic about every potential thing this thing could do, or we can look at it and go, all right, I know there are a couple things I can do to protect me, protect my family. I can social distance as much as possible. I can choose not to go visit friends, and if I do, I can have them just on outside of the house from a safe distance with our masks on. And it sucks. I know. I'm there with you. Like I said, I really wanted to hang out with my old roommate yesterday, and that shit just did not happen. I wanted, I want all these things, and we're all just going to have to deal with the suck for a little while. And this sucks for all of us. There's no getting around it. This is not fun for anyone. But the way that we're going to get through this is by saying we're all in this together. Some people are in this in their fancy ass Beverly Hills mansions throwing parties like there's no pandemic, and some of us are doing we're the kid doing the group project alone thing and sitting at home and fucking behaving and watching assholes make this thing worse. So let's remember that at the end of this, we're hopefully going to be the ones that need a vaccine, because we're not immune yet, because we stayed home and didn't get the virus, and we didn't pass it to anyone. So stay home, wash your hands, do what you can to not be in contact with people as much as possible. I hope if you're going back to school as a teacher, or if your children are going back to school, that you really have your best practices down with masks, that you've talked to your kids about their masks and about making sure they stay on as much as possible, that they don't take them off. If they take them off because they're itchy, that they take them off outside, that they don't swap their masks with their friends, that as much as they want to hug their friends at school, probably don't. That they, as much as they want to hug their teacher, probably shouldn't. I know this is a really hard time. I'm there with you. I miss my life. I miss you guys. And when this is all over, just consensual licks for everyone who wants one. Anyways, I love you guys. I will see you. I will see you very soon. Hopefully later this week on Twitch for some BOTW streaming if I ever figure out how to get that done. Otherwise, I will see you guys on Friday.